Winky, looking Winky, wants to throw the knockout punch to Warwick. Warwick open! Touchdown! He does a touchdown! He did catch it! Touchdown, Florida State! Oh, Peter Warwick, how'd you do that? Kermit Whitfield to the left side, a hole to the 30. Kermit Whitfield to the 30, to the 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, FSU! Kermit Whitfield, a 100-yard touchdown! Here's the snap. Winston rolling right, throws the pass on the other. It's caught! It's caught! It's caught! Touchdown, FSU! Kelvin Benjamin!
We're doing it for everybody. We're doing it big all over the country, all over the world. And I'm proud. I'm proud to say I'm a Florida State Seminole.
This is the Garnet Old podcast with your hosts, Ryan Eastman and Vince Ciccarelli.
Good evening and welcome to the Garnet Old podcast. We're so excited to have all of you here. I'm Ryan, that's Vince, and we are going to be covering the Duquesne post-game reaction, instant reaction pod. Are you excited, Vince? 1-0.
I am excited. It's been a long time since I've been 1-0, 2016. Garnet and Old, no inside info, no context, no problem. We got to get that in, Ryan, every time. You know that.
Every time. We got to get hats and koozies made, something like that.
Yeah, it was very exciting. We're going to jump right into the game recap here. And if you guys are watching live, we're on Facebook Live tonight. We're also on YouTube Live for the first time tonight. So if you're watching there, welcome. So if you got any comments, questions, you want to join the discussion here, we'd love to chat with you guys.
In addition to our video feeds, please give us a follow on Facebook, on Twitter. Send us an email to our Gmail account. All those are listed there if you're watching live on video. If not, on Facebook, Garnet and Old is our account name. On Twitter, it's Garnet_Old. And our email is garnetandold@gmail.com. We can be found on all major podcast providers. So please like, subscribe, comment. It really helps us get those numbers up to the top of the feed and more people can join you as part of the community of Garnet and Old. So to get things kicked off, I think both of us expected a win, but it was 47-7. I pretty much think FSU dominated as they should in a game in which the opponent is severely outmatched. But Vince, knee-jerk reaction. How are you feeling right now about the game?
Knee-jerk reaction. I was impressed with just doing what we expected to do, because we really haven't done that for years. Whenever you have an outman team like that, what you saw yesterday is what is supposed to happen. It's not supposed to be perfect, but it's supposed to be consistent and dominant, and that's what yesterday was. So there's really no reason, in my opinion, there's no reason to have any kind of negative vibes about what happened yesterday. Were there some things that didn't go 100%? For sure. But yeah, that's what I thought. I think my pregame prediction was 53-10. So I can't complain. It was an enjoyable day.
It was, and just to rally things off real quick, Jordan Travis was 11 for 15, 270 yards. Played pretty well and very easy. He was out of the game by first drive after halftime.
Yeah.
We had 3 running backs over 100 yards. Ward Benson, Antoa Philly, and Rodney Hill almost got over 100 yards. And we had, a ton of receivers. I think 7 receivers had a reception in the game. So it was definitely a game in which a lot of people got involved. So Vince, I guess give me your top 3 standout, whether it be it could be an entire segment group, it could be a player. And then after that, we'll go through kind of maybe our top 3 concerns, even if there aren't many of them.
Yeah, one of the things that I never thought I would say in a game is Kentron is having himself a day. So, that was the most exciting part of the day for me. Johnny Wilson, right? We talked about him before the game, and I think he went out dinged up a little bit. But Kentron, Mr. Portier, I've heard it said a number of different ways, but what a day he had. So I would say he would be my first one that I would think of. What about you?
Yeah, honestly, I'm gonna go ahead and say Benson. I knew what Trayshawn Ward and Toafili, they played last year. I knew exactly what they were, though. Both of them played really well. I mean, especially Toafili had a couple video game type spins, which was really, really nice to see. But you're talking about Trey Benson coming over from Oregon, had never really had other, I think, 3 carries or 6 carries at Oregon. I mean, really had never.
And he was hurt.
Yeah, and he was hurt and never really contributed. Comes to Florida State. So even if it is against Duquesne, I would not have expected him specifically to have gone off as quickly as he did, in which at one point was dragging 7 defenders along with him on the field as they fell off him and kept running and then finally got tripped up. And there was a couple of those runs where he showed he is going to be that power back. I think he is going to be, hey, 4th and 2 guy. I think he's going to be our goal line back. He really seems like the guy that's going to be able to put his head down. Whereas, Toafili, man, speed, acceleration, moves, and then I think Trayshawn Ward is a middle ground between both those. But yeah, that was my number one. Benson just really, really came out and showed out in the running game in general. I mean, I think that was what we both came away saying is, wow, it looks like we really have some good running backs.
Yeah, we definitely do. I don't know that I would pigeonhole Trey Benson as just a bruiser back. I mean, that guy can move. He can really move.
I do think, though, situationally, he will come in handy on those situations.
Yeah, for sure. He, I mean, watching some of the replays, after doing the game rewatch, that guy's coming at you with a head of steam, and it's not just power. I mean, he is flying. He is flying. So that was exciting to see. It was exciting to see Toafili. I mean, he's definitely noticeably bigger, but he doesn't seem to have lost, too much of the quickness, if at all. And then Rodney Hill. I mean, late in the game. I mean, I get it. We're going to talk about all this stuff. It was Duquesne. It was Duquesne. Well, remember, people, we didn't do these kind of things against the Duquesnes of the world for the last 3 or 4 years. So this team is different. But watching him hurdle to get his score, I mean, it was just an exciting day.
Untouched. I mean, when he hurdled, he didn't even the foot didn't even touch.
Right. Yeah. He leapt over that guy and he was in. And there was a lot of that. There was a lot of tackle shaking. There was a lot of arm breaking. So it was fun to watch, and so much so that I don't feel like we had to do too much through the air. I think we were prepared to do that, but I don't think that as the game wore on, it warranted that. I don't know that that's by design or not, but it definitely worked out in the team's favor to not have to show anything of significance during this game, unlike North Carolina, who had a little bit of a struggle with FAM. So they had to kind of open up the playbook there a little earlier in the season than probably they wanted to.
Yes. I can tell you one thing, going back to the idea of like, hey, it's just Duquesne, talk to me about Jacksonville State, talk to me about Savannah State. I mean, we needed Cam Akers 3 years ago to steal a victory at the last second against one of these. So we finally did what even a average or above average team, if that's what we are, should do to a undermatched team. And one thing that I'll go over my second one real quick, because I think it's a good time to mention it.
Tangent there.
No, because we played like that, we got so many backups in quickly. And it's been so long since we've seen. The only times we've ever seen backups is when it's an emergency situation over the last 2 years in which they get destroyed because they're not ready for the moment. This time, a good example for me and my number 2 player that I don't know if you noticed, Mr. Duquesne. There was a route in which he was running a corner out, like he was running just a quick out, and he hit him in stride with soft hands on a quick dime where he had to turn fast to catch it. That does not look like a guy that has played football in the wide receiver position for 1 year. And I was very, very excited to see that. So who's your number 2 player that you were really excited, I guess, just with the performance?
I'm going to go offensive line as a segment, um, I think there were over 12 to 13, maybe even more linemen that got to play in the game. And again, if you think about the last few years, we didn't even have that many people that you could suit up, I don't think, to go out there to play. So you've got 12 plus linemen out there, and then late in the game, they're still opening up holes, and that kind of experience for the younger guys is just, I mean, that's what helped us build the dynasty for years and years and years. Is you had this chance for younger guys to come in a situation where, while the game is wrapped up, it's still real live game reps, and it
Mhm.
allows them to put into practice the teaching that they've been getting. So I would say the offensive line for sure. It was fun to watch. It was fun to watch, a second team line come in and then a third team line come in.
For sure. And I'm actually going to switch it up to the other side of the ball for my third exciting piece of the game. For me, it was an entire segment, the corners, the DBs. I think I could count at least 7 to 8 times in that game when a pass was thrown up where it was actually a pretty well thrown ball. They had someone out there that I thought might be open enough to make that catch against us. And we turned around at the right moment, put our hand up, and deflected the ball with no pass interference without having to drape all over the guy and it get called every time. We have not turned our heads as a team when the ball's in the air and actually made a play with our hands in a very long time. And we would
It
pretty
was
much
rare.
just been tackling guys to the ground or getting burned for a touchdown
Yeah,
for a number of years. So there was multiple times in which it was like, oh, that looks like it's open. I think it's going to be caught. Oh, last second fingertip, diving. There was about 2 almost interceptions. It's the
sure.
only thing I was a little disappointed about it because there was 2 times in which we dove in front of the player, hit us in the chest, and it fell to the ground. And one of the times, I don't know who it was. It might have been Cooper. I mean, it might have been Amari Gainer, probably before he got hurt. There was one time where he laid on the ground, like a little frustrated at himself that it was a tip ball and it like hit him right in the chest and it just fell to the ground. But hey, I'm happy with being in position to make those
Sure.
potential interceptions, but pass breakups. I mean, what was the final percentage when I was walking down the stairway with about 4 minutes left in the game, 5 minutes left in the game? I think
You
their
left early. How
quarterback had
dare
like
you?
16% completion percentage or something
Yeah.
like that. So that tells what you need to know. So I was really impressed by that. How about you?
Yeah, I enjoyed that for sure. And I just, one of the things I do, and I shouldn't do this, but I kind of lurk around the Facebook groups and to see what other people are saying. And there's, you know trust me, people, don't get sucked into that negativity. There's all kind of crazy talk going on out there about what happened to the defensive line and why are the DBs and blah blah blah. I'm telling you, that game, the way Duquesne played that game, is we are going to get the ball out of the quarterback's hand as soon as
Immediately.
humanly possible to negate any kind of rush. Now, I'm not saying that 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 the line is elite or anything like that. I'm not saying that yet. But what I'm saying is that the way that game played out didn't really warrant us seeing what's possible yet.
Yeah,
So,
we ran a vanilla scheme.
yeah, and we didn't need to be in anything other than that. But when they take the snap and within a one step, two step drop, the ball is out of there. I mean, there's very little time to make it to the passer.
I mean, Vance, doesn't it just prove like you can't make everyone happy? I mean, people are complaining about the secondary while the quarterback was 7 for 17 on the game for 70 yards.
Right, and I think, yeah, you cannot make everybody happy. I mean, I'm pretty sure if the internet existed back in 1993 to the extent that it does now, um, people wouldn't have been happy then either, right? Because everybody has a memory that is much more grandiose than what actually occurred, right? There was no perfection back in that time either. So, yeah, people are going to complain about things, and my thing that I typically do in there, if I see something that's totally outrageous, I will just put a laughing emoji on the comment. So, if you're following the same groups that I am and you see me put a laughing emoji, that's me basically saying, what you're saying is foolish. This is nonsense.
Yeah, I always go with the Dr. Phil gif, of him just kind of
Right.
like
Yeah.
staring into the distance hopelessly. Did we already get to your third one, Vince?
I don't know that we did. I don't know that I have a third. Do I
Well,
have a
you kind
third
of
one?
agree with me about the defense. I thought it played well.
Yeah. I mean, the defense as a whole, I mean, there's, they, the time of possession was heavily in our favor. And so I don't think, I think the defense need everything they needed to do. Now, I was a little, I don't want to say unhappy, but it when Tate Rodemaker threw the interception, it did not seem like the defense um, was great on that quick change, right? But I also don't recall who was in at the time either, right? So
Linebackers,
I,
yeah.
I think they scored pretty quickly. But
Mhm.
those are the types of things you have younger players in the game. Those quick changes, that's a learning experience for them. It doesn't matter, where the other team gets the ball. It's still your responsibility to stop them. So
But you had a perfect transition because we're going to the again, we're not bringing up, we'll do this every episode. We're not saying negatives or concerns
no,
just because we're
not in
complaining.
this
We
game.
just want to give some objective observations of things that we can get better at. Um, Tate Rodemaker, my man, Tate Rodemaker. Okay. All 2 seasons ago in spring and fall, you heard was like good deep ball, seems calm in the pocket and in practice, composed, coach's son, knows football. And then we would see him get in the game in unfair situations the last 2 years. And a
For
lot of
sure.
times it was unfair, but you can have unfair situations and not throw a pick six the second you get in a game. This year, again, spring and fall, there was even talk that even though Jordan Travis is the starter, that, man, it seems like Tate is right there, that if Jordan came out, Tate could slide right in and it would be not a problem. Or, there might be some drop off, but he could handle it. And it seemed like the same old Tate Rodemaker. I mean, he went in there. The thing I noticed, a lot of people are talking about the pick, which is true. It was 10 yards. By the way, the receiver was open on the route when I rewatched it.
Yes, he was.
The ball was 10 yards behind him, where the defensive back that was trailing him even had to turn around to pick the ball off. And the whole time he was in the game, Vince, and I'm pretty sure you probably noticed this too, his feet were going wild when he was dancing in that pocket like someone was shooting pistols at his feet. And the snaps came out ugly, like where he would handle the ball and it would be awkward him handling it off to the running back. It just seemed like he gets in and it's just shutdown time.
Yeah, I don't think the ball was 10 yards behind, but it was definitely 4 to 5, right? So, yeah, it was a bad ball. It just was a bad ball. And, you're going to have those. And unfortunately, I think for his confidence, that did not do any wonders. He seems to be very comfortable in practice. And then, I don't know, it's like anything else in your life. The more you're out in the fray, the more you realize that everything is not life and death, right? And you just you can play loose. I don't know if that's what it takes for him. He's obviously a talented person, right? He's got talent, um, but we don't have the luxury with the way this team is built right now to you know to gr- to groom a backup quarterback, and just kind of take your time and whatever. I mean, we need somebody that's going to be able to, if something happens, for the lights to come on and them not kind of cower.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know. Obviously, I don't know him. I mean, no inside info, right?
Yeah.
But that's what it seems like from the outside looking in. I'm going to throw a comment up here real quick,
Let's do it.
Ryan.
I love it.
Um,
Just a reminder as he's about to read the comment that if you are watching on Facebook or YouTube, you can comment. And if if it's something that we want to actually address or read, we will bring it up right here on the screen for those listening on podcasts. We're reading off Facebook Live video and YouTube Live.
Yeah, Frank says first time in many years the defense wasn't put on the field for 40 minutes plus or in bad spots. I mean, let's face it, when you have an offense like we've had or lack of in the last 3 or 4 or 5 years, the defense is asked to pretty much, make chicken salad. You know what I'm saying? And you just can't live that way. So yeah, I mean, I don't think the defense really worked up a sweat, to be honest with you, and that's a big difference. I mean, thank God for that. I mean, at least one game we see that, right, where the defense is kind of like, yeah, the offense has got this.
Yeah, we had 35 minutes time of possession, so that just tells you what you need to know. Anytime you have the ball more than the other guy, it usually portends for good things. So, Tate, need you to get a lot better, brother. And AJ Duffy, I hope you're warming up somewhere right now in the practice fields.
Yeah, and just, Tate doesn't listen to this. Why would he, right?
Maybe.
But
we're famous, Vince. They know us from here to Afghanistan.
Listen, I'm saying everything's all right. You got this whole team around you. You've got all this talent around you. Just be in the groove. I mean, it's easy for me to say, right? But I mean,
you're in the groove right now, Vince. I can tell you, the second episode, you're glowing.
I am, and I have, I'm making all my reads. I'm not going to go to my first read. I may do a dump off here. I don't know what I'm going to do, and it doesn't matter because I have all this talent around me. And when you have all the talent around you, and the game,
some would say iron sharpens iron.
Yes, iron sharpens iron. I think.
So give me your disappointment. I know you probably agree with me on the Tate Rodemaker. We're both on the same page on that.
I don't know if disappointment is the right word for that.
Concern,
though, man. I mean, I don't know that you could have a better situation to come in and do mop-up duty. So it was just a bad ball, though. I mean, it was really just a bad ball. So let's look at it that way. I'm going to go glasses half full. It was just a bad ball.
There's a crack in that glass, Vince.
Disappointing. I don't know. I guess if I'm going to pick something, I would say I expected a little more fireworks, a little more juice from the return team, I guess. But some of that is again getting in the groove of the season too, I think. So it wasn't stellar. I mean, it didn't. The game wasn't in doubt, so it didn't really play into any kind of negative effect. But I know the coaches can't be too happy with everything that happened with that.
I was more okay with Micah Pittman because he actually caught the punts and everything, which I was pleased with. And it seems like when he did let it hit the ground is because their kicker, by the way, was pretty terrible, and the ball was getting on weird angles, like very odd angles and rolling a lot. So I don't mind him saying, hey, get away from it, because it was a weirdly kicked ball. But to what you just said, Vince, the kickoff return game has me concerned because Sam McCall multiple times, 3 times I counted, kick return, right? He gets the kickoff and kind of half steps for like 3 seconds before actually going into a run. Almost like he's like trying to work someone who's not even there yet. And then he's like, oh, I need to run forward. And we can't be getting 7 yards on a kickoff return and getting to our 12-yard line against Duquesne and expect to have success against LSU.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, first game for him, first collegiate game for him. So, I mean, I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt there, get the jitters out, and I think like anything else, once they're a little bit more in the groove, it becomes a little more of less thinking and more doing. So that's what I'm kind of chalked that up to. I want to say that I was expecting, 2 kick returns for touchdowns or 2 punt returns. But it wasn't, I guess the way it was built up in the off season, it seemed to be we would see a little bit more.
For sure. I mean, it sounds like you don't have too many overall concerns or negatives. My last one's a funny one. The hell was that 2-point conversion at the beginning of the game? All I can think about is we're trying to have a business trip here where we just last year lost one of these games, and we're out here running a walk-on Wyatt Rector out here to read the defense and throw a ball to an end zone to a tight end who doesn't get a whole lot of catches a lot. And it looks sloppy. And I think everyone was like, what the heck was that? Like, just kick the field goal and let's not get cute. Getting cute last year is what cost us that game. So how's about we get cute maybe when we play Louisiana right before Florida? That's the
Right.
time.
Well, I think in their mind, they were going to run that play at some point during the game. So why not just get it out? Because and why would you run a play like that, Ryan?
Well, yeah, you might want to show LSU something, but do you really
That's
think
exactly
LSU at
right.
all is scared after what they saw?
No, but you still have to. I mean, that has to occupy some of their time now. It does. It just has to. So
If
because as a
if I'm a coach, I run that play as a 2-point conversion when we're up 30-0.
yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't
Not the
know.
first score events. We're trying to get people to believe that this team's going to be take itself serious and we're going to be better. Not the first touchdown. How about the second one? Like, how about it's 13-0 and we go for 2, we all get it, and we're like, okay, I get what they're doing. Their first score
This
when
is
we
where
get a
my laugh
touchdown.
emoji would go. This is where my laugh
Come on.
emoji would go.
I don't think I'm the only one who was just sitting in the stands like, all right, well.
Yeah. I mean,
Maybe
it
it was the
didn't
rain.
work.
I was depressed.
It didn't work, right? Had it worked, people would have
I
still
still want to like the
complained
call.
about it. People
Yeah.
would have still complained about it. And so, I mean, I can tell you one thing. The coaches don't give a rip about what you or I think, or pretty much most of the people in the stands. So,
If anyone is watching live on Facebook or YouTube, shout out your comment right now. Even if we get into the next topic, we'll read it on your reaction to that 2-point conversion. I just would like to know what the fans think.
I already know what the fans think, Ryan. I'm just trying to tell you from a coach's perspective. Not that I'm a coach, but I'm trying to think from his perspective. Like, why would I even do this? And that would be the only reason. That would be the only reason.
Yeah.
The
coach's dome.
You want the next opponent to spend some time on it. So you think about it. If you're LSU or whoever, that play is in the playbook, and that when we ran it, it was run with Wyatt Rector and Preston Daniel, whoever else was doing that. But it can be run with anyone.
Sure.
Right. So there you go.
Well,
anyway,
overall,
we spent way too much time on a 2-point conversion.
I think we spent way too much time just covering the Duquesne game in general overall. But I think there's more. The more entertaining factor of this game would be something that before the game and after the game, that we have some interesting things that occurred in the pregame happenings. Vince and I tailgated in lot 12, 2 tents. It was actually pretty nice, pretty cool. Didn't really get too overwhelmingly hot. I don't know about you, Vince. I wasn't sweating too bad. We had the fans.
Only by the griddle.
We had the TV going. You're watching Nebraska choke away another game. Scott Frost. So Vince, I'm mad about us going for 2. Going for an onside kick when you're up 11
you're
points.
Not a Nebraska
what are we doing?
Wow.
But maybe they wanted to show
Northwestern though is a quality team though.
Maybe Scott Frost just wanted a future opponent to know that they had that play ready. Maybe he was just prepping. But Vince, we had a good time, right? We had a good time at the tailgate. Talk about it.
We did have a good time. We at the last podcast, we invited some folks to come out. We did not get to see anybody, but that did not shock Ryan or I because we didn't. It wasn't like we dreamed that the FSU Duquesne game on August 27th or whatever it was at 5 p.m. was going to be like a mosh pit. It wasn't going to be that. So, but yeah, we had a good time. It wasn't brutally hot. We had some fans going. We had some good food. We had watching the game. Had a few beverages to enjoy together.
Sure.
And we found a really nice spot there in lot 12 that hopefully we'll get to commandeer each and every game. It really is a prime setup. So the tailgating part I really enjoyed. From there, Ryan,
It broke
is
down
there
a
anything
little.
you want to add about that? The tailgating
Not
before I go on
really.
to something
At
else?
one
Okay.
point, Vince broke down his equipment and everything slightly before mine to head to the game. We were about to head over. I would say it was around 4 to 4:15 when we broke it down to 10. We're like, okay, let's go to the game. And because we live in Florida and it's the middle of summer, rain happens almost daily. Thunderstorms, in fact, at 5 o'clock. So not surprised. The second we started walking to the stadium, we were right around the circus tent, and a monsoon began to engulf Tallahassee. The second I got inside, I pulled up the old Twitter machine, and there's the reports that lightning delay, and I said, "Man, this is just great." First home game. I was hoping to get through without rain because it actually held up the whole day, but what can you do? It's Florida. It's not a shock. So I literally, my wife and I found a dark, quiet area of Doak behind one of the bathrooms. Like there's like this alleyway that no one, like it's dark and dry. We just sat on the ground and
Took a nap.
relaxed for an hour and a half before the kickoff. And Vince, I know you can talk about the rain a little bit, but I know, it affected travel for you a little bit, right?
It did. I want to go back, and I want to circle back before we actually went into the stadium, and I'll come back to that here in a second. But when the storm did come about, Shannon and I were, under the stadium. You know what I mean, in the concourses, and I'm telling you what, if the lightning strike was not within like 250 yards of where we were standing, I would be surprised. Lightning struck. It was a complete explosion, and everybody in the concourse area. It seemed like you remember. You remember Wii bowling when
Yeah.
when you would go to bowl, but then you drop the ball behind you, and then everybody that was watching behind you would jump up and spin around. That's
Yeah.
what it looked like. Everybody, their eyes got big, and everybody screamed and everything like that. So it was very close. So
Yeah. I saw that flash. It was intense.
it was close to the stadium. Maybe maybe within 500 yards of the stadium. I don't have any clear information on where it struck, but man, was it loud, and it was
I like
close.
to imagine the lightning strike happened at the exact moment in which Scott Frost realized he was not going to be the head coach at the end of the year.
Speaking of that, though, with the lightning, with the delay, I mean, that's a pretty good indicator for what's going on the team wise from a continuity perspective. That didn't seem to deter the focus at all. Like they did not come out sluggish. You would see sometimes in the past where something like that would totally derail like the
Georgia
mentality of
Tech,
the team.
first game of the year,
Yeah,
James Blackman has a touchdown pass, game delay. We come out, we lose, we don't score like at all.
yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like this team is like, yeah, it doesn't matter. We're just going to do what we're going to do. I want to go back to what I was going to mention though is when we started to break down our tent a little early to go to skull session with Chiefs, you were saying it wasn't too hot at the tailgate. That's true. But going to Chiefs Field, with the turf they have there, oh my gosh, it was like a pressure cooker on that field. And the Chiefs were awesome, like they always are. And I'm so happy they didn't have to wear their uniforms this past Saturday because it was like air fryer central. It was really, really brutally hot. But the Chiefs were great, and they did not get to do pregame because of the lightning delay, but they did the halftime show. And somebody posted this on Facebook. I think it was Facebook earlier today, but somebody had posted something of a video of he was at the game with his son and his son's cousin, and they're down on the railing. And as the Chiefs are coming off for halftime, these kids are just smacking hands with all the Chiefs that were walking by and making a big deal out of it, and everybody that knows Garnet Old knows that soft spot in my heart for that group. And that, again, just a great example of what a great example the Chiefs are for the university, making those kids' day as they walked by and smacked hands with those kids. It's really cool.
Sure. Yeah. In addition to, we all got to see a good moment with a kid who had attended the first game with his dad. He's a diabetic, I think 5-year-old with diabetes, and that was adorable seeing him run on the field and with the biggest smile on his face hugging his dad. So that was I think that got an awe from everyone in the entire stadium.
Yes, there wasn't a dry eye. It might have been the rain. It might have been the tears.
Mostly the rain, because let me tell you something, people. And my wife does not like the just drip drop rain because she wears glasses. And when you have glasses on, if it just starts pouring, you just kind of deal with it. You just, you're not going to get dry. But when it's basically like a leaky faucet for 2 hours straight, you basically just have to keep taking your glasses off and drying them, and they put them back on. And then 5 minutes later, there's again and again and again and again, and they're fogging up and everything. So shout out to glasses wearers who have to wear them all the time. I only have to wear it when I'm reading or on a screen. A lot of times I wear mine, but I would say the weather got really cool and nice after halftime. Let's glass half full this thing. After halftime, there was a breeze, maybe a hint of some football winds coming from October in the future. It was coming to us and saying, "Here I am," for a brief second. But I will tell you this, because the game was set to start at 5, it didn't kick off till I think it was around 6:35 when it finally kicked off. We didn't leave the stadium because of that until around 9:30-ish, 10 o'clock. And so the second we got to our hotel, our plan was originally, if the game was at 5, we were going to go out to dinner,
sure,
nice and dry after the game. Instead, we got some macaroni and cheese with barbecue at the game, which was delicious, but not a healthy meal. Then we got a bag of chips and ate a few of those at the hotel room, and then immediately went to bed, followed by waking up because the hotel room was not comfortable. We ended up waking up pretty early and grabbing some Bojangles breakfast. Hey, now, gotta love a good Bojangles biscuit and some Busy Bee bits.
Right, on the way home.
So, hey, listen, don't let the rain ruin your party. Get yourself some Bojangles.
The rain was a little bit miserable for a while, but it did go away. And then you left with a few minutes left in the game. I saw you up in the corner all by you. You had like your own section. I saw where you were. And then my wife and I started moving over toward the Chiefs so we could sing the hymn with the Chiefs. And you haven't done that. If you've not stayed till the end of the game to go sing the hymn to the Garnet Gold with the Chiefs, you should do that. It's a good time. But that always gets us out of the stadium late. Sure. And we did not have a hotel room. We had one, but we decided we were just going to cancel that a few days ago because we're spending some dollars going to New Orleans next week. So we're rolling out. Let's just say we did not get home till about 2:30 in the morning, and there were some pretty significant rainstorms on the way home, and it was a little harrowing. And driving in the rain in Florida, everybody's got their hazards on because that makes you safe, apparently. So as long as I have my hazards on, it's like this protection bubble around me. So
it probably kept
we made it home. Made it home 2:30 in the morning, and woke up at right before 10 o'clock. So
so I mean, overall, I think despite the little bit of rain being the only kind of inconvenience, it was a good weekend. I think I fully expect New Orleans to be even more fun, or at least unique weekend, having to go play in the Superdome. I will say one thing that was kind of funny. So I have an iPad, and I might have been I'm basically Steve Jobs, everyone. Let me tell you why. we have an iPad. We have a clamp for the iPad, and we were mounting that on our tent for watching football games live because we have cellular internet on that iPad.
No, first world problems.
Listen, I said it's a little far away. It's a little hard to see. Then I saw the handle sticking up from the cooler of our beverage cooler right in front of our seats. I said that pole
It's
on
closer
that
to
handle,
my face.
that's closer to my face, and I believe the clamp will fit. Guys, I'm just saying, if I go on Shark Tank in the next year and I present a cooler with a
The cooler
handle
pad
that has
stand?
an iPad and phone holder on the handle for
You just
watching the
ruined it
game and
now.
grabbing your drinks out of it, I might at least get a licensing offer from Mr. Wonderful.
You're going to make $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to make $1
Hey,
million.
they denied the Scrub Daddy too, you know?
Well, this is degraded so far. this broadcast has gone down a little
Sunday
bit.
night before work, of course it has.
Oh man! So coming up, obviously this coming week, the big trip to New Orleans. My family's going. Ryan, I know you're going. I'm actually traveling over, and we're meeting with a buddy of mine that I played Little League with. I met him in Little League back in the early 80s, and he went to LSU. So he's bringing his family, and we got tickets together. So we're going to be watching the game together and hanging out together. I'm sure, Ryan, you and I will hook up as well. But before that,
Yeah.
we are going to have an LSU preview broadcast a little bit later this week.
Yeah, well, we're gonna save our predictions for this game. I think there will be some surprises in those in my thoughts and some of the predictions. If you guys know me, I think there will be. But I think it'll be a good game. I'm excited that it's indoors and air conditioned. That's a positive in the middle of summer. And it's a pro stadium, so the concessions will be, I think, a step above what we're used to at the old Doak Campbell Stadium. Although, FYI, people, helpful hint: if you are traveling to Doak Campbell Stadium at all this year, for the first time ever, they do have self-ordering kiosks, touchscreens, where you can go and order your food or drink and pay with mobile payment. It is also completely cashless in Doak Campbell now. You can only pay with debit, Visa or whatever credit card or
And Bitcoin.
contactless. Bitcoin, yeah. NFTs. No, so just be prepared if you come to the stadium and you're bringing cash and seeing those old concession stands where it's like a hot dog or hamburger. There's about 8 to 10 restaurant type walk-up options, and all of them except Apple Pay, Android, Google Pay and everything. So you'll be good to go. But I'm excited to go to the Superdome. I've never been to New Orleans, so it should be a good time. I'm excited to see any of our dozens and tens of fans there celebrating with us.
Would love to. Before we get there, though, Ryan, we're going to have another broadcast. Probably Wednesday.
Around there.
Yeah. We'll get together. We'll talk about the upcoming game and have some predictions for the long-awaited FSU LSU game. Florida State's 1-0 for the first time since 2016. And not just 1-0 as a convincing 1-0 like it should be. So everybody in the Garnet Old world, be happy about that. The climb continues. Part of the solution. Positive momentum. We got it going.
We do. And 1-0 is a good place to be. It's been a long time. So I think we're all on the same page that we feel at least a smidge of encouragement for the first time in many years that we might have this thing pointed north, which is a good place for once to be headed and not just kind of treading water or even drowning a little bit. So I'm excited. I really appreciate you, everyone who was watching or any comments we do get in the future. Thank you guys for listening tonight.
Yeah, make sure to tell all your friends. Ryan and I enjoy the banter. That's what it's all about. So let everybody know. Subscribe so you know when we're going to be live. It's Garnet and Old, Season 2. No inside info, no contacts, no problem.
Go Knowles.